Snakes! Why's it gotta be snakes? Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan. Thank you for joining me for another video here on my channel. We're doing the thing again. I'm gonna look at several Masters of the Universe Origins figures that I had yet to unbox, and we're gonna do them all bulk in this one video here. And today's theming is Snake Men, because the MOTU Origins line went hard on snakes, which is kind of odd. Although, I guess I get it. I know several of the creatives behind this line, like our good buddy Axel Jimenez, who does so much of the beautiful artwork we see on these packages. Like, he's a big fan of the Snake Men. So I do think it's cool that some of these guys who have poured so much of their heart and soul and passion into this brand in recent years have gotten to sort of inject their own into it with the Snake Men. But man, we've had a lot of snakes. Like a lot of snakes. So today's theming, all Snake Men, but it's all the weirdos, all the new guys, all the figures that I haven't taken a look at yet that happen to be strange Snake Men that weren't in the vintage toy line. Let's jump right into it.
All right, I want to start with Terroar and the Lord Grasp. The reason being, I was pretty excited that these came to the Origins line, because if you are not already aware of the backstory with these two figures at this point, these were essentially supposed to be part of the vintage Masters of the Universe toy line. They're part of what's now known as the canceled 1988 wave. Some artwork has surfaced of the card backs that were gonna be in the vintage line that showed several characters just like these two that were just weird mashups of pre-existing parts to create brand new characters. Then these characters got to see the light of day as action figures for the first time during the MOTU Classics era, where they were given these names. So Terroar and Lord Grasp are now finally in a vintage scale, and I think that's pretty cool. Now, I gotta say, both of these guys were stupid hard for me to get a hold of. They were Walmart exclusives. My pre-orders got canceled. They never showed up in stores around here. I pre-ordered them through Big Bad Toy Store when that happened, hoping that they would eventually ship. I eventually got tired of waiting and just bought them on eBay. So these have literally been out for a year plus at this point, and I finally just now got a hold of them. I'm excited to look at them though. My Lord Grasp has got a pretty smashed box. Luckily, I'm gonna be opening both of these guys up, so no big deal. Let's just go ahead and turn around to the backside so you can get a good look at that incredible artwork that's on there as always. You could see setting in pre-Eternia, which is pretty cool, with Shirella riding on Turbodactyl there. You can see Castle Grayskull in its original form. It's like glowing white. You can see the big walls. That's pretty cool stuff. And then coming over here with Lord Grasp, again, we've got some pre-Eternia going on there. You can see in the background more Turbodactyl. There's Megator the Giant, and Plasmar here in the front. He's another character that's part of that unreleased 1988 wave. So hopefully that means we'll be getting him in this line at some point as well. Really happy to see him on the back of the packaging. But let's go ahead and open these guys up and we will take a closer look at them. So the mini comic included with Lord Grasp and Terroar and Reptilax and Viper, which are all figures I'm looking at in this one large video today, is Leviathan's War. Man, I almost bungled that. So one mini comic for all four of those snakes, giving you some more Snake Man stories for the world of Masters of the Universe, including Snake Armor Skeletor in there. That's pretty sweet. So there you go. Brand new mini comic with these guys. All right, we got Terroar outside of the packaging. This one might be my favorite, honestly, of the bunch. I love the color scheme here, the purple and the black and the silver. It's pretty dang sweet. All right, we got a little bit of assembly we need to do right outside of the box, because as you can see, his Ratlore style tail is not attached to his back. You can see there's a spot in order to do that, and I think the best method here is probably going to be to remove his sweet trap jaw parts. Now this right here, I don't know, this isn't really coming off super good. It's glued on in the front. Looks like it might have been partially glued in the back, but we definitely need to move this piece to the side so that we can get this tail attached. So hopefully that'll all still fit on there just fine. Let's get this tail pressed in. There we go. Clips in place. Yeah, this all seems fine. And then we can just reattach the arm. Of course, the arms are all removable on here. Torso comes apart. It's the same that you would expect from any MOTU Origins figure at this point. And the fact that these guys are just basically kit-bashed characters, I mean, it was perfect for this particular line. It was real easy to assemble these guys. So Terroar here, if you can't tell just by looking at him, is essentially a whiplash head with a Ratlor's body with a trap jaw arm and Mosquitor's boots. Yeah, good boot style, man. I really like it. So what a weird kit bash to create this brand new Snake Man. But again, I love the colors, the dark purple on the front, the light purple here, glowing red eyes. The boots are just unpainted, so you don't have the red on the front like Mosquitor's, they're just straight silver. It's so weird, but man, I love it. I really wish we could have seen these in the actual vintage line. It makes me wonder, like, if these guys came out back then, would we have like a fondness for them, or do you think we would always think they were weird? Because honestly, look at that line. Most of that line is kit-bashed parts. These guys are a little more blatant than most of them because they didn't even get new head sculpts, but still, makes me wonder, if these came out back then, would it be any different now? So he actually comes with the extended neck that Ratlor has as well. So we should be able just to pop this on the ball joint there. There we go. Get it clipped in place, and then we can put that whiplash type head on the front, so that way we've got the extended neck, though it looks a little weird on this. It looks like he's always looking down. No real good way to like pose his head forward. And he's also got all of the trap jaw attachments. So you've got the blaster, or we can replace it with the hook, or we can replace it with the claw, whatever you want to do. But that makes for one extremely weird looking Snake Man. And I kind of love him for that. All right, guys, it's comparison time. I want to bring in the Masters of the Universe Classics version of Terroar just to stand them side by side so you can see what they look like. The MOTU Classics one is a bit thinner in design, and I definitely think he would have been more like this in the vintage Masters line, right? Because if he reused that Ratlor body and presumably had the same action feature where the head would jut out like that, he would definitely be a bigger character like this. So it is really interesting looking at these two side by side. This was the first time we ever got an official figure for this character, and now we've got one in a more vintage aesthetic, which is pretty sweet. All right, that's gonna bring us over here to Lord Grasp. Oh boy. Okay, so can you name all the parts on this guy? Let me go ahead and guide you through. We've got Squeeze's head. We've got Clawful's claw. This is basically just a standard heroic body, though he does have the Skeletor-like gloves over here. And then the cape is straight off of Scareglow. So yeah, that makes for a pretty wild-looking character. Honestly, this one works a lot better than Terroar, I think, because even though they painted Whiplash's head purple, it still looks like Whiplash. This honestly looks like a completely different character, even though it's the same head as Squeeze, at least to me. Maybe it's different for you. But I do really like the paint deco on this one. I like how he's like a black snake with the yellow designs. I love this little yellow pattern, the scaly pattern that's painted on the sides of his arms and his legs. Snake Man logo on the chest. He's got the Clawful claw with the same action feature on there, which is pretty fun. That green cape looks pretty sweet too, the green version of the Scareglow cape. I don't know, he's a weirdo. So he comes with a couple accessories. First of all, he's got a green version of the King Hiss shield. So we could just clip that on here like this. Or, if you want, he also has a all-black version of the Snake Man staff. I guess you could put all these on here together, but the shield will look kind of weird, I think, with the staff. Yeah, that looks a little strange. But he's got that claw over there on the other hand. I don't know, I think he's really fun-looking. Such a strange-looking character. Again, I would have really liked to see this one in the vintage line, like using an actual vintage buck, but I like that we now have him in the vintage styling. And with that being said, It's comparison time. So here is the MOTU Classics version. Let me get these guys standing up here so you can actually see what they look like. There we go. The MOTU Classics version of Lord Grasp standing alongside the new MOTU Origins one, which has more of that vintage aesthetic to it. Really, I don't know, man. The head sculpts are totally different. Like, they're similar, but you can see they put a lot more detail, obviously, into the MOTU Classics versions. The shield is got more paint on it. The boots have more paint on it. But really interesting looking at these two side by side. And here's something else worth showing off. Now that we've got Terroar and Lord Grasp, that means we have 4 of the unreleased 1988 wave that should have been in the vintage line. We're now only missing Plasmar and Strobo to complete this wave. I know we're hoping that they finish all of the original vintage line in Origins, but to me that also includes this. So I really hope Strobo and Plasmar are coming at some point soon. I'd love to be able to get this whole batch of weirdos in vintage style. Reptilax, the mercenary brute of the Snake Men. So another excellent Snake Men character added to the collection. This one is a newer creation. If I'm not mistaken, I believe artist Axel Jimenez had something to do with the creation of this particular figure. As you can see, as one of the exclusives, he does have that full artwork on the back of the packaging, which is very cool, where you can see Reptilix doing battle against some sort of guard here. You can see the snake fortress in the background there, which, by the way, like, I think that would be a sweet looking playset. Like this one right here, this right here. That would be really cool to see. Really beautiful artwork as always. So let's go ahead and get Reptilix opened up out of the packaging so we can get a closer look at him. All right, out of the packaging, we have some minor assembly with Reptilix here. You can see he's got this long tail with some spikes on there. And there's a little plug right there in the rear, so we can just plug this in. Now, it's worth noting, this doesn't seem to like snap in place. So I think this is technically like a removable part, just like the rest of the figure. But I don't think we've got any other figures that have a hole there in that spot. So there we go. We can attach the tail there. This is not like a bendy tail or anything. It's actually very solid and rigid. So you're not going to be bending that tail around. You can swivel it, but because of the way it's laying, I think there's really only one way that looks good when the figure is standing there. But very cool looking design. He's got a bit of reuse, of course. He's got the larger feet there, the whiplash style feet. He's got like a standard torso, but I do really like this armor bit that we've got here with the snake logo right there on the front. The paint is decent, but it is a little sloppy in some spots. I'm not sure if you're seeing that. It's interesting because that yellow has a bit of a metallic sheen to it. So it might be the metallic parts, but I think painting the yellow over the black is what caused a little bit of the problem. You can see it's not laid on super good on the figure, and it's also worth noting that like it's kind of unpainted on this back part except for the yellow stripe there, so could be a little bit cleaner. I do really like the head sculpt. This is a new head sculpt here, which is very cool. Open mouth, the tongue sticking out. I like the black spikes going down the neck there. This is very cool because this was a character that we saw the artwork for, the design for, back in the MOTU Classics era. So seeing it realized here as an Origins figure, that's pretty sweet. He does come with a few weapons. He's got a green version of that King Hiss shield, so you can rotate the clip if you want to clip it onto the figure's arm. Let's see, we got to find a good spot for it to stay up so it doesn't slide down too much. I love this wrist bracer over here too, by the way. He's only got the wrist bracer on the one side, but I like the studs on there. I think that looks cool. He also has a green version of the Triclops sword, so green like Triclops. I think that sword works okay for this, though. He also comes with a green version of that Ram Man axe. They love using this Ram Man axe. They have included this with so many figures, it feels like, at this point. But this completes the look of the character. I do think he's a very cool looking snake warrior. Very striking looking. He's got this like peach orange body with the green head. And I don't know, something about that just completely works with this guy. I think he's a really fun design, and I'm glad to see like some original snakes in this line that aren't just solely reused parts and repainted. Like, this is really cool, getting a nice original Snake Man. Origins Vipor. I assume his name is just Vipor, but I bet for copyright reasons they had to put Origins in front of him. So Vipor, sinister embodiment of Viper Tower. So this is one that when they announced this, I thought this was such a fun design because, yeah, this is basically a Snake Man version of the Viper Tower from the Eternia playset. Really interesting. Kind of has those vibes of like Castle Grayskull Man, which honestly I'm shocked we haven't seen in Origins yet. Shout out to my buddy Daniel Benedict. But, you know, much like how Castle Grayskull Man looks like a living version of Castle Grayskull, this is like a living version of Viper Tower from the Eternia playset, so that is pretty fun. And again, as an exclusive, he does have a full card back filled with beautiful artwork there, where you can see the character, along with some other really wacky chameleon-like Snake Men designs in the background. You can see Lady Slither, and of course we've got Eldor here in the front. You know, as we're kind of creeping closer to them, doing more and more with powers of Grayskull, it seems, in the Origins line, so that is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and rip this guy open. He's already falling off his card back, so he's ready to come out anyway. Let's rip this one open and get a closer look at him. Oh man, I love this guy. I love the look of this one. He is so incredibly cool. So he seems big and beastly and tall. In fact, let's do this just to see. Yeah, it's still 6 inches, a little over 6 inches, but what makes him feel so much bigger? Obviously, he's got this shaped head, right, where the neck is coming off and winding forward, but he's also got this big, bulky armor, which is really cool. Real metal chains that are attached to it. You'll notice the similarities if you look at like Serpent Tower on your Eternia playset. Like, this collar is on there. The real metal chains coming off all four posts, that's right off of the playset. It is so cool to see that incorporated into this brand new golden armor that Vipor is wearing. You got the snake emblem right there on the front. You got this belt piece, which looks really, really cool. And man, yeah, that head sculpt is just so cool looking. Look at that thing. I love it. And of course, articulated jaw, so you can really open up that mouth. Again, just like on Serpent Tower, which is cool. Plus, it's articulated, look, at the midpoint of the neck, and then of course at the base of the neck where it attaches to the figure. So it's pretty articulated. Love that like striking pose. Look at that. Oh, this is a cool looking snake figure. I mean, like in a line where we've had a lot of snakes, this might be up there as my favorite one so far. I think he is just so cool looking. He does come with one accessory in the form of this very Evelyn looking staff where the handle is made of bones. So that is pretty cool. He's got two gripping hands, so he can put that in either hand here. But I love this guy. What a fierce looking snake man he is. So cool. Necro-Conda, reanimated Snake Men Soldier. Oh, this is just another one that I think is so cool. I remember this guy showed up on like their little cross-sell sheets when they were promoting upcoming figures, and he really stood out as like, who is that? What is that? Because he's got such a striking look to him. So this figure comes in the larger deluxe window box, which is very nice for this particular figure. Certainly makes him feel special. That beautiful artwork at the top of a ghost-like snake man, Lady Slither in the background. You got the window there showing the figure, letting us know that yes, he glows in the dark. I love it. It's like the scare glow version of a snake man. Look at this beautiful artwork on the side of this ghostly Necro-Conda. You got a snake over here. And then on the backside, I don't know, is this an image of He-Man fighting 3 Necro-Condas? Or is this just one Necro-Conda like teleporting around him? I'm not entirely sure. This could just be a ploy to make us buy more than one Necro-Conda, which, I mean, he looks pretty sweet, so can't even fault him there. All right, let's rip this one open. Let's get a closer look at it. Okay, Vipor was cool, but I've changed my mind. Necro-Conda is the coolest looking Snake Man character in Masters of the Universe. I mean, look at this guy. Even standing in front of camera with the lights on, he looks like he's glowing. He's got like that day glow thing going on there. But the details on this are amazing. First of all, the skin itself, just like all the body parts there, are molded in this metallic, marbleized, like greenish, bluish color. It's like swirly. It's very pearlescent. It gives them this really ethereal look, and I think that is so cool on this particular figure. And then that's all highlighted by the fact that he's wearing this armor that is just straight up like glow-in-the-dark green colored. You can see he's got this great gunmetal, like silverish, on the top portion of the armor here. So the armor, of course, is from the Snake Armor Skeletor. Lots of really clever reuse here, by the way. Like, it's funny because he's got Snake Armor He-Man's belt on, so it even has the Snake Man logo with the sword going through it. So I don't know what that's all about. Did he steal it from He-Man, or is he anti-Snake Man somehow? I don't know. It's pretty weird. But he's also got this armor bit for the arm from that He-Man figure, which even comes with the claw that you can stick in it, just like Snake Armor He-Man. So that is pretty fun stuff. I'm curious to know if there's like a story with that, or if it's just because they reused that part. Then we've got this cloth robe here. Look at this. Like, got the soft goods black robe coming down the back underneath the armor with this elongated hood so that it comes up over that snake head. That, of course, is just like the King Hiss head that has been repainted, but it looks like a totally new character like this. And he is so cool looking. Now, there's other ways we can display this guy too, because he also comes with the tail that we first saw with Lady Slither. So if we want to use the interchangeability of this line, because all the figures come apart at the waist there, we could attach this snake tail instead. And now we can display him in snake form like this, which is just so cool as well. And then aside from that claw that I showed you, he also comes with a slew of weapons. He's got the sword that I think we first saw with Fangman. He's got Tila's sword, and he's got another little snake dagger there, but all done in glow-in-the-dark green, so we can really arm this guy up with some cool weapons. Let's do that here. So the fact that he comes with the snake tail and all these different weapons certainly makes it feel like he is more of like an army builder and not a standalone character. I'm not entirely sure. No mini comic with this guy, by the way. He just has the art card, which is really cool. But the back of it says, the Snake Men leave nothing to waste. Every Snake Men soldier sheds its skin prior to serving in King Hiss's army. The slithering sorcerers then reanimate these skins to create undead Necro-Conda, the wriggling wraiths that haunt heroes with their life-draining fangs. So there you go. These are army builders. You can build a whole army of reanimated snake skin known as Necro-Conda, reanimated snake men soldiers. That is pretty sweet. And yeah, with all the different weapons and the different ways you can display them with the snake tail or the feet, that is pretty sweet. Plus he glows in the dark to boots. This is a solid toy. I love it. And yes, I know, brand new character in the line. We're still hoping to see all of the original figures completed, but I love it when they do weird, wacky stuff like this. This guy really stands out. I think he's awesome. Those colors, man. It's all about those colors.
So there you go, my friends. Snake Men. What do you guys think? Do you like these figures? I do really like when we get new characters in the vintage style. I think that's a lot of fun. I know there's always the argument that can be made that they might be taking the place of a classic character that you want to see, and I do think that that is somewhat of a fair argument at times, but I also think injecting new stuff into these lines is part of what keeps them fresh and exciting and not just the same thing again, right? I mean, come on, Masters of the Universe has been around for over 40 years, and every time we get a new toy line, we just get the same characters again. So I appreciate when they try to do new things. There just has to be a good hefty balance of it. So I'm with you guys that still wants to see the rest of the vintage figures, because I do too. I specifically like some of the figures like we got in here, like the unreleased 88 characters. Like those were supposed to be in the vintage line. So I like getting those now in a proper 5.5 vintage scale. I think that is really cool. But coming back to that whole there's been so many snakes thing, as a longtime Masters of the Universe fan who's been collecting for every iteration of this brand, the one thing about the Snake Men is they're always the harbinger of doom for these toy lines. Like seriously, when the Snake Men show up, that usually means the end is near for the toy line. Like the original toy line, they were one of the last waves released, finished out those Snake Men. But then the 2000X series, that was like the end of the 2000X series. Those figures were showing up at like Aldi supermarkets, okay? Effectively, that line died with the Snake Men. So every time we look at the Snake Men coming, it's always kind of that, ooh, like, oh no. Luckily, that doesn't seem to have been the case here. Like, we still have gotten plenty of figures for Origins and Masterverse and Cartoon Collections, so hopefully there's still a lot more to come. What do you guys think? Feel free to sound off in the comments down below. Are there too many snakes? Do you love the snakes? Do you just want to start seeing some other characters? Like, maybe we need more Horde? The Horde's, is last time I checked, more popular, and we're missing a bunch of Horde people still. So I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Again, I'm happy that the people who are working on this line got to do some fun stuff with these. I still think that is really, really cool as well. So let me know down below what you think. As always, thank you guys so very much for watching, and until next time.